Welcome to the Brown Girl Rising podcast. I'm your host, Urvashi, and I'm so happy to have you here. We are here to celebrate you and incredible, inspirational women of colour from around the world. Women who are breaking down cultural barriers, who are smashing through glass ceilings, and women who have experienced trauma and challenges and risen from these challenges. I'm so excited, so let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome to Brown Girl Rising. This is your host Ush, and today I have Amreet Kaur with me. Amreet is somebody I've known for a couple of years now, and she is a British-born Punjabi Indian woman in an interracial relationship with an African Anglo man. They've been together around 16 years and have had a lifetime of experience trying to fight for their relationship, handling loads of different situations, some of them bad, some of them good, facing barriers, obviously cultural barriers and obstacles, and she's had to face, and it's affected her physically and mentally in certain ways as well. So after a lot of inner work, healing, and really looking at herself in a deep way, Amreet has grown and now helps women and support them so that they can live in alignment with their truth. So welcome, Amreet, to the podcast. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me here, Ush. I'm so excited to be speaking about this and speaking to you on this podcast. I know it's quickly growing, and yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy
really
to
good. Enjoying the sunshine that we have here in Coventry at the moment, but I know it won't last this England.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Bali for a few weeks and everyone was like, it's raining, it's raining, it's raining. I come back and it's beautiful and sunny. And I'm like, okay, so I brought the sun.
You brought the sun
from
back.
Bali.
Yeah.
I did. All right, so Amreet, the first question I'm going to ask you today is, what does it mean to you to be unlimited?
I love this question, and it's an amazing word, unlimited. Like, even the word, when you say it, it's just limitless, isn't it? You don't have anything that's stopping you, or the word like can't isn't in there. It's just like, for me, it's my business's motto. So it's live the life you want, not the life that you were told to live, which is, what I really want women to do. It's like, just do what you want. And I know it's easier said than done, 100%, because I've tried to do what I want at times. I'm like, I can't do that, or no way, it's impossible. But being limitless, unlimited is like, you can literally apply yourself and do anything that you want to do. And that's why confidence is a massive thing in my coaching, because I feel like if you have the confidence to do something, if that's behind you, then you really don't doubt yourself. Like, once I have the confidence to do something like this podcast, if you asked me to do this a year ago, I would be like, no, sorry, I can't do it, because I didn't have the confidence in myself to sit here, speak to, even though it's just you and me and we're on this podcast, I know I wouldn't have the confidence to do it. But because I've grown and been through that journey of, right, this is how it is, this is how, you face your fear, you are, going through that kind of spiritual healing, personal development journey, that I think is what.
Yeah, I think I lost you there, but I think you were saying that's what you feel being unlimited is. Yeah,
is about. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I did lose you for a second, but okay, so I love that. Live the life you want, not the life you were told to. I think that's a really beautiful thing, because as a British-born Indian woman with parents who have come across from India and they've been colonized, they've come here to literally like give us a better life, and then for us to be like, oh, I'm not going to live the life the way you want me to live it, it hurts them, but actually we've got to do it for us, right? So can you tell me a little bit about kind of your journey, because you've been with your partner for 16 years. He's obviously African, Anglo.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about how you met, your love story, and kind of how you decided that this was the person for you and that you were going to live that life that you wanted with this man?
Okay. So Lewis and I met in school. So we were 17 at the time. We were in secondary school. Yeah. We were both in sixth form, and high school for the people who don't know what secondary school. And yeah, we we didn't know each other. Like we'd never met through our secondary school journey before that, which is really weird because it's not like a massive school. But as soon as we did like meet and started speaking, we just clicked.
Yeah.
And it was just easy. It was like I felt like I knew who he was. Like I felt like I'd known him forever. It
Mm.
wasn't like uncomfortable or it wasn't like weird. It was just like it was just a lot of fun every day, like having banter and laughs. And when you're at that age, it's always about like, you know, just messing around and things like that. And it quickly kind of, I realized my feelings kind of grew quickly towards like really liking him.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, what is going on? That was scary actually, to be honest, because he's black.
Yeah.
And I've been told my whole life, you're not allowed to be with anyone outside the community. You're not allowed whites maybe we'll see,
Yeah.
but no blacks and no Muslims. Like
Yeah.
that was
So,
what we were told.
I mean, no BMWs was a thing for me as well.
Yeah,
Do you remember that? And then all of
yeah,
a sudden it became no BMs, and you're like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Okay then. So yeah, so I was just like, oh shit, what's happening? But it and when I explain these like these feelings, they are not in my control. I That's how it was. It was like I fell and I fell hard and I fell fast.
Mm.
And we just gelled. And why I the thing I call it is a soul connection. I feel
Yeah.
like our souls connected. Like it was inevitable. Like I couldn't do anything about it. So that happened, and then we realized we really liked each other. And yeah, we got together, but obviously in secret, as you do in those days. And I still think people actually do that now.
Yeah.
And
Even as
my parents,
adults, people
yeah,
still get
that's
together in secret, right?
yeah, yeah. Like I've spoken to a few ladies who have told me their relationships, and they still haven't told their parents. So yeah,
Mm.
and then unfortunately, my parents found out about us.
Oh, you didn't tell them,
Um,
they just found out.
this is so bad. So basically, I had a little bite on my neck.
Oh, okay, you girl.
And I was wearing, obviously, I was wearing high neck like tops for ages, but then I had to go to the gurdwara, and I was like, oh shit, how do I hide this now? So basically, I had my chutney, like my dupatta around my neck like that, and it fell in front of my dad, and I was like, oh crap.
And he
And he was like,
saw.
yeah, and he was like, what's that? And I was like, I made up some like lame excuse, like I got hit by a ball or some weird thing like that. Obviously, my parents aren't dumb. And then literally they sat me down, and it was the most like one of the worst conversations I had in my life, where I was literally just like, I just remember crying a lot and thinking, oh my God, I've upset them, I've disappointed them. They're
Mm,
so ashamed of me. Like, I, why did I do this? There's a lot of negative feelings. I remember that.
mm,
And they didn't shout at me or anything. They were just like, look, you know, you're not allowed to do this. Your studies are important at this time. You're going to university. Just concentrate on that and just
yeah.
end this little thing that you think you have. They just thought it was like puppy love.
Can I ask,
So
at that point, did they know that he was a black boy?
yeah,
Oh, they did. Oh, so their reaction wasn't actually too bad.
because I think it's because they thought, oh, it's just a thing, like she'll get over it. It's just a teenage thing, like she doesn't really know what she's doing. Um, and to be honest, yeah, it was only my second boyfriend at the time, so I hadn't like been with a lot of guys and stuff at the time. So I think they just thought, oh, will tell her, because my whole life I've been a good girl, right? So
Mm,
I've always done what my parents have done. I've always been the best I can be. I've never stepped out of line until then.
right.
Um, and I think that's what scared the hell out of me as well, because I was like, this is not me. I don't do this. This is not in my character. I'm the one that, you know, does what I'm told and does what I'm supposed to do. So I think they just thought, oh, we'll tell her to end it and it will end. But
Mm.
unfortunately, yeah, I did end it. I ended it for one day. It was the worst day of my life. It was so horrible.
Oh,
Seriously, it was so horrible. It was like, oh my God, this isn't right. And I'm glad I kind of did that, because I think if I didn't try, I can't say to them that I didn't try, firstly. And secondly, I wouldn't have felt like, imagine this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. But you figured
So
that
yeah,
out in one day at that age.
seriously, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I remember telling him in the morning because it was school, and then literally like staying away or being in other parts of school and stuff because I didn't want to see him, and it was just horrible. It was really horrible.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, then we carried on in secret again. um, I moved
And told
to
him not to give you any more love bites.
yeah, that was like. But moved to Nottingham to go to uni away from my city so we could be a bit more freer because obviously you can't go out like where I live. I've got a lot of family and things like that. So that was the reason I wanted to move away as well. But unfortunately, I got really ill. In Nottingham in my first year, I got really seriously ill, and I think it was partly to do with moving away and not being used to living by myself, but partly it was something that my dad said to me, which was like, remember, if you do find someone and we're not really happy with them, you may have to choose between us and the family. And that really stuck with
Wow.
me.
Yeah.
That really like played. And I remember speaking to my best friend about it, and I was like, do you think he knows? What do you think he means? Are they going to disown me? All this stuff. And I think the stress of that, knowing that I don't know what's going to happen. Doing like first year of uni, I was doing my law degree, and um, it was all a lot. And I think that kind of stress on my body at the time, I didn't realize. I just thought it was uni stress. Really affected how I was functioning.
Mm.
So when I talk about physical stress, when I talk about this affecting me physically, I got really ill to the point where so I was bleeding when I was going to the toilet. I was going to the toilet maybe up to 10 times a day and just
Mm.
blood was coming out. And before,
Okay.
I was really like ashamed to speak about it. I was like, oh my God, this is not normal. What the hell is going on? I didn't tell my parents until it got to the point where I came back home and they had to rush me to A&E because I couldn't stand. I was like in that much pain. But to myself, I said to myself, like, if I finish my first year, if I um show them that I can live by myself, if I show them that I can do my degree and have a boyfriend, then they must accept me because they can't say I can't do it. And
Yeah.
it was that kind of like backing myself, telling me myself these stories that if I do this, then they'll accept him. If I do
Mm.
this, then they'll accept him. Um, all that strain and stress, I think at the time just was like, no, Amber, you need to stop. Like it's too
Yeah.
much. And I think my body literally shut down. Yeah, and I was rushed in hospital and they diagnosed me with ulcerative colitis,
Oh
which is an
gosh. Immune disease.
autoimmune
Yeah.
disease. And I was in hospital for a few weeks, and then they tried a load of drugs which didn't work. And then I ended up having surgery because they couldn't like help my large bowel, so they removed my whole large bowel.
Oh
And
gosh.
yeah, and I had a stoma for a year,
Okay.
which was another like stress on top of itself. I was like 20 at the time, and I was like, oh my
Mm.
God, I'm gonna have a massive scar on my body, and I want to wear bikinis, and I'm not gonna be able to wear short tops anymore. You know, as a young person, like a young girl, I was like, oh my God, my body is gonna be disformed and deformed, and you know, all these
Yeah.
thoughts going in my. And I was like, will Lewis still even want to be with me? Like, I'm so ill now. Why would he want to stay? It's a lot to go through. The worst thing is I can't even talk to my parents or anyone about it because they're like, why do you care about that? You shouldn't even be with him anyway. So it's like balancing all this crap
Mm.
yourself, and you're like, what do I do? And yeah, to get better from that, like to be independent again and go back to university took me a whole year where I had to go through a few more operations to then reverse the stoma and so I could poo normally again. Um, but just to emphasize on that, and I've spoken to women who don't realize the stress that you put on yourself, on your body, because of what you're feeling from the stress, the shame, the guilt, the
Mm.
disappointment of just being with someone you love. It is real, and it is dangerous if you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I mean, that moment when your dad says you've got to, be careful because you might have to choose between love and us. I mean, that's a big thing. Like, as an Indian woman, you've grown up as a child in this secure household where you've been made to feel like, this is your house. And then all of a sudden to be like, well, if you choose the wrong person, sorry, you're gone. like that obviously created a lot of like physical ailments in you, it sounds like. So then after you went into hospital and this all happened, like what happened with you and Lewis in terms of like, did you continue, obviously we know you're together today, but like did that affect your relationship? Because you must have been like, well, you know, where's this going now?
So I literally said to him, look, if you feel like, you know, this is too much and you can't handle it, I totally understand, because we were still really young at the age, if you think about it, we were like only 20. He was like, no, don't be silly, like we're here, we're in this together, like what are you even saying?
Wow.
But the hospital visits were really awkward because mom and dad obviously came out normal hospital visits sometimes, but he couldn't. So the nurses, bless them, they were so nice, they let him come at different times to see me.
I love that. Also made like specific special hospital hours for him.
Yeah, and it was like, it was so sad because obviously they didn't understand like why, and I tried to explain to them, but it was, yeah, it was a really tough time to go through. But we kind of tried to make it work as much as we could. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So then, okay, so then after all that, like, you know, we've fast forward a few years, you're together now. Your relationship, Black and Indian, or Blindian, as you know, it's called in America, is obviously still a new thing for a lot of Brits. Can you, and obviously it seems to be more accepted, I would say, on the other side of the pond. I don't know if you agree
Yeah.
with that. What are people's reactions to you guys then when you, because I know a couple of interracial relationships and they're great. You know, they're happy, they've got kids, partners, whatever. How have you seen other people's reactions towards you? Not just your mum and dad, but extended family, friends, you know, that kind of stuff.
For me, I feel like once my dad was on board and he accepted us, no one else really would say anything because my dad kind of has that kind of authority over them, so they
Okay.
wouldn't say anything bad to me. I did, however, have a few cousins who were like weird about it, like only in 2021, which is what like kind of kick-started my journey to become an interracial relationship. My cousin said to me, oh, just to let you know that you're invited to your niece's birthday party, of course, but unfortunately Lewis can't come. And I was like, why? Because he'd been going to all the family events. Like we're
Yeah.
out and proud. Like, and she was like, oh, your relationship's not official enough for us.
Oh, okay. Are you married?
No,
You're not married, you're just a couple. Yeah. You
yeah,
engaged?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Fine. And that's not official enough.
no. And I was like really taken aback because I hadn't heard anything negative about my relationship for quite a while.
Mm.
When we first came out, it was like, oh my God, you're with a gala, what the hell? What are you gonna do? What is your family gonna say? Like I did have that before like telling my dad, but I never had that so recently. And then when I posted something about us on my Kaur Confidence page on Instagram, people were saying to me, oh my God, you're so brave for sharing that
Mm.
online. um I'm surprised you shared a picture of you and him. Like I was like, what are you talking about? The only reason I didn't share things about my relationship because at the time I was just focusing on confidence coaching.
Yeah.
um so there was no need for me to talk about my relationship, but
Yeah.
I think it was our anniversary and I just wanted to celebrate it. And people coming back and saying like these weird comments that I wouldn't have assumed people would say in 2021
Yeah.
basically. And that's when I realized, oh, there's still this stigma, there's still this taboo, this problem attached to these kind of
Mm.
relationships, this negative
Mm.
perspective, which is really sad. And that's what really made me go down the rabbit hole of interracial relationship coaching.
Wow. So how did those comments actually affect you in terms of their negative perception? How did they affect you and your relationship?
They didn't affect my relationship, but they
Okay.
affected me more personally. Like I was shocked.
Mm.
Surprisingly, I was shocked, like because for some reason I'm so used to being around people that love and accept this now that I stupidly forgot the world isn't like that. And I think that that was something that really slapped me in the face to say,
Mm.
maybe that was my wake up call to say, Amri, it's not like that everywhere. And you need to help these people Because yeah, it's great that you're living like that and people around you understand it, but a whole lot of people don't, and there's a whole lot of hate out there. And I really think that's where my purpose and my why really changed and aligned with me. And I was like, okay, I get it now. This is what I need to be speaking about, because people still do see us as wrong. Our relationship is wrong. It's not normal. It's weird. It's, you know, or not official, whatever official means. You know, you don't need to be married to be in a relationship. Like,
No.
part of me like was saying to my cousin, if I chose not to get married, that is a choice in itself.
Yeah.
If I choose not to have children, that's a choice in itself. I don't need to do those things because you think that's the right path for me. So it's just, yeah, re-educating, relearning, and trying to get this message out there as much as I can.
So I want to go back to something you said. You said once your dad was on board, everyone else kind of fell into line. But what did it take to get your dad on board?
Good question. So I've been in my relationship now for about 5 years.
Okay.
And all that stuff happened with my illness. And I was speaking to my friend, and she was like, look, you need to just tell them, because it's not how, and even my consultant actually said, you need to tell them because it's not helping your mental health and definitely not your physical health. Yeah, that's weird that just came into my head about my consultant saying that to me. He was like, because he was Black himself and he saw us together once. Lewis came with me to an outpatient appointment, and he was like, this is beautiful. I'm so happy for you both, but you can't keep it a secret anymore. It's really affecting you. Well, that's an exclusive for you. I've never shared that.
Exclusive, yeah.
So then I literally had my friend on the phone, go do it. Literally put the phone down and just had to go to my dad, where he's just sitting by himself watching TV, and like I sat next to him, and he could tell, like he could tell I wanted to say something, and he like kind of turned and was like, yeah, like, what do you want? And I was like, and then I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm in a relationship, and it's still with the same guy that, you know, it was like a few years ago and stuff. And he literally just said, wow, you've made your decision. What else can I say?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Kind of like really passive aggressive, just like dismissed it, kind of like,
a typical dissy dad, basically.
Yeah. What do you want me to do about it? Like, what do you want me to say?
You've made your bed, lie in it.
I remember getting a bit like annoyed, like, come on, man, this is like really hard for me. And this is all, and I was like, so do you not want to meet him? Do you not want to know more about him? Like, this is serious for me. It's not going to be something that's going to stop. No, what's the point? You've already made your decision. It's got nothing to do with me. And I was just like, okay, fine. And I knew that he'd shut down, and there's no point me saying anything else, because I was going to get just riled myself up, and then he wasn't just going to carry it. So I just walked away.
Okay. Then what happened?
And then literally, I think it was a couple of days later, he came up to me and was like, arrange a dinner for us all. Me, you, your mom, and Lewis to meet. I want to meet him. And I was like, what?
Over dinner? That's like major.
Seriously, I was like, he could see the shock on my face. I was like, what happened, Dad? And he literally said he went to work and he spoke to his colleagues about it, and his colleagues were from different backgrounds. So I think one was Chinese, one was white, one was something else. And they said to him that if their daughter had come up to them and said what I did in the way I did it, they would feel like so respected, and they would feel so honored that their daughter did that for them.
Yeah.
And they were saying, like, thinking about your pride and like thinking about why you're saying what you're saying, and your ego, and are you saying it because you're upset about who she's with, or are you saying it because you feel like she should have told you earlier? Or, you know, like they were saying, like, you should be really proud of your daughter for being brave enough to tell you.
But another thing is he saying it because actually that's what he's been conditioned to say by the society and culture around him and his day, right? Like, you don't go with a Black person, you know, that kind of thing.
So I think, and I always say this, thank you to whoever those colleagues were, because they really made him think about, you know, I'm so glad he had the courage to talk about it to the people at work as well. Like, I always give props to my dad for doing that. And yeah, he came back and he was like, arranged the meal, and then the meal happened. And then from there, he was like, yeah, he's really nice, actually. He's great. And slowly, it just developed from there.
Yeah. So he also saw kind of his soul rather than kind of
Yeah.
his outer, which is beautiful.
And I always knew, like, once you meet Lewis, like, he's that kind of person you just get on with. He's got
Yeah.
that kind of personality. So I wasn't worried about them meeting him, because I knew, like, once they met, they would love him. But that day, I was like, Lewis kept saying to me, "You have to be less." He's like, "I'm supposed to be the nervous one. I'm meeting them for the first time, and you're the one who's the nervous wreck." Yeah, one of the most nervous days of my life.
But it went okay. Like your dad was respectful
Yeah,
to him and the
yeah.
other way around. Okay. And your mum, how did she take it?
She was just like, she's more like happy go free kind of thing. So she's kind of
Okay.
like, yeah, he's kind of cool. I mean, Lewis's family and their side are more like a huggy kind of touchy
Yeah.
family, where I like we are, but it's kind of like not with strangers. So at the
Yeah.
time, I just said to him, go in for a handshake, not a hug yet.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So let me flip this script a little bit. So we know how now, it was for you in this interracial relationship, but what was it like for Lewis, and how did his kind of parents, culture, everything how did they how do I put this? How did they kind of come to accept you and Lewis as a couple, and you being an Indian woman, and him coming kind of out of his own culture as well
Mm.
to be with you?
I mean, I never, while we were going through this, I never even thought about, oh, how is this affecting him? And it was only
Mm,
through doing chats like this, I actually sat down and asked him once, like, how did you like manage to be with me with all that craziness going on? Like, how did that make you feel? And he was just like, I knew we were meant to be together. I knew, you were the one. And I just knew I had to do whatever it took for us to do
mm,
that. And he was, I do have to admit, he was really sweet. He was really patient. He was really calm, like when I explained things. So it was really helpful that he was in that way. I think if he got kind of angry or was like, why didn't they accept me or things like that, I think that would have been harder for me at that
mm,
time.
mm,
But I can see why like partners can get like that, because living in the secret is hard. With his family, they were really accepting. They've got a lot of interracial relationships
mm,
in their family anyway, so a lot of um black and white relationships. um, but the only thing I remember him saying to me was that his mom said, "Oh, just be careful," because she knew about the Indian community and culture, and she's like,
mm.
they don't like mixing with others. So be careful, because it might be dangerous for her. And if you guys ever need a place, basically saying, if I get disowned, if you guys need a place or you need somewhere to be, I'm always here for you.
Oh wow.
Because she knew like it was a big thing that we were doing. But yeah, really
Yeah,
accepting.
absolutely. It's a massive thing, right? Because because of relationships and maybe girls not going in the same direction as maybe their parents want them to, like there are things like honor killings, there are things like beating people up, there are things like, hiding people away from the world. Like it's not like it doesn't exist. We cannot
Yeah,
ignore it. And
yeah.
so did you ever in your life feel that you were threatened or something bad was ever going to happen to you because of this relationship?
No, and I thank
You're
God,
really
like
lucky.
I say, I'm really blessed and lucky that I was able to carry on and not feel to that point of threatened. Nothing, no physical abuse. Um, Maybe a bit of like mental abuse, but it was more like I said, the kind of basic stuff where they don't understand, when they don't understand what's going on. It's kind of like, well, what are you doing? You're going against the norm. This is not
Mm,
right, and
mm,
it's that kind of thing. But yeah, you're totally right. There is still this big um this big negative stigma around these relationships, where people think they have to go to the point of like say honor killings and things like that. I remember going to India one year, and while we were together, and one of my old school teachers was really scared that they were going to get me married off in India,
oh gosh,
because I was around
okay.
that age, and they were like, no, you can't go, you can't go. And I was like, my family are not like that, it's fine. I knew it was for my cousin's wedding. But you do hear about things like that, where
Yeah.
you go for a wedding and then the person never comes back, or they come back and they're married or whatever. So yeah, I do remember like they were like, oh, tell us where you're staying, and tell us like
Mm,
information. So if you and at the time I thought it was funny, because I was like, what are you talking about? Like my family would never do that. But hearing stories and seeing like doing research around this topic, it is real and it's not funny and it's really dangerous. So yeah, I think like the more we talk about it and try and normalize these relationships, it is really important for people to see that it's not just, oh, it's not just you bringing shame on the family, like loads of people are doing it, and it's not something to be ashamed of.
Yeah, amazing. So would you ever take them to India with you? And have
Yeah,
you?
I would love to. No, we haven't yet. I would love to do that because I really want to do like see some of the gurdwaras there and just show him like Amritsar and things like that because it's important to me. So yeah, we would love to do that. It is on the bucket list.
Yeah. How do you think your family would react if you took him to India, or when you take him to India? Like your
I hope that
extended family?
I my immediate family, I hope that they come with us. It'd
Yeah.
be nice if they came. Um, I don't think anyone would say anything to me anymore. Like I said, it's been a few years now.
Yeah.
So if anything would have happened, I think it would have happened ages ago. And if
Yeah.
someone does say something now, I come at it from a different angle because of my coaching, because of everything I've been through. It's more for me of a, "Oh, why do you think that? I wonder where that's coming from," kind of
So
that thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's like, why are you having to say that? Like, where's that belief coming from?
What is it in you that's triggered that? Triggered
Yeah,
why's my relationship triggered you like that, right?
exactly.
What's it
Yeah,
got to do with you? So
yeah.
you're coming at it from a more powerful perspective in terms of you are solid in your relationship, you know yourself, you know your, yeah, that's incredible.
I mean, to say there are still idiots out there who just spout nonsense, and that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
And as much as you try to like negotiate, compromise, or try and explain things, they're still just going to be. You got to just leave those people and just walk
Yeah.
away and be like, okay, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
You
And are
carry
you
on
finding
living.
you're still getting some like hate on your Instagram or social?
Yeah,
You are? Okay.
yeah. I mean, one thing, one thing I got commented on was like, oh, why would you want to be with a black person? You'd either want to be with a white person or a Sikh person. And I was really confused because I was like,
What do
what?
you mean?
So yeah, they sometimes they don't make sense, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I want to we were talking about cultures before, like in terms of how you guys integrated. Does Lewis take an interest in your culture as a Sikh woman? And do you take him to a Gurdwara? Does he need to convert? All that kind of things, because yeah, if you marry, like how does it work?
So we spoke about this a few years ago when I really started going more deep into my Sikhi and my Sikh journey. And we both always say we respect each other as individuals, as independent people, and as a couple. So independently, he's Roman Catholic, that's his religion. I'm a Sikh woman, that's my religion. And we will both go down our own path. Like he is more spiritual as well, so he has other different beliefs, and so do I. I don't really think that you should have to change someone to
Yeah.
be with them. So if he does want to do more things to do with Sikhism, like whatever, like a lot of things in Sikhism, like meditate, Nam Jap, and things like that, which is fine. But I would never like force him. And I think the beauty is we do both. So yes, he's been to Gurdwaras and he's experienced that and had langar, and I've been to churches, and his brother got married in a beautiful church. It was really nice. So yeah, it's like integrating both the cultures together. He loves a lot of the things that we celebrate, Bandi Jod, Divas and Diwali and Vaisakhi and things like that. And it's really nice explaining these things. And then we are hoping to get married soon. So we're still looking to get married in the Gurdwara and then explaining what an encourage is. I've done that to the point where he understands why we're doing it, which I think is really important because I know what it means. And I think it's important to know why you're doing what you're doing and not just doing it for the sake of it. Absolutely. So I've had a lot of conversations with Amritari Sikhs as well about this. And I've said, to the point where I really want to respect the religion, but I also feel like it's a really big part of my path. So it will feed into my relationship and to my children and my family, whatever happens. But yeah, I think we've learned to communicate in a way where it's like, this is my thing, this is your thing, but this is our thing as well. Because as people, we are two totally different people as well. Like he's so sporty and he likes, he does his basketball and he does all that stuff, and I'm more like academic and things like that, like reading and things like that. So yeah, it's really nice when we come together and we're able to celebrate each other's culture. Like obviously they celebrate Christmas and Easter and things like that. So growing up in England, we do that anyway. So it was just nice to see that from their perspective. But yeah, it's been really nice. Like, and living in Angola for a bit, I've been able to see how his family how they like celebrate things there, and they do it really big, and it's really nice. And what I found is that they're so similar to how my family is. It's crazy. It's so crazy. It's like they have a massive family. I have a massive family. They are loud and proud and support each other and have it's the same with me. Like I have a massive family, loads of cousins, loads of aunts and uncles, and so it just felt like the only difference was that they speak Portuguese. So part of the time,
Portuguese. Oh wow. Okay.
So Angola was colonized by the Portuguese. So yeah, that's their national language, and that's literally the main difference between like us and them.
It's true. Completely. It's completely true, right? So you watch things like My Big Fat Greek Wedding and you're like, they're exactly like an Indian family. Like seriously, my ex-partner, sorry, was Filipino, and the way they were with family and all of that was exactly like like his mother was a very matriarchal mother, very similar to mine, and it was just like, it's exactly the same. It's just that we're a different color or we're different religion, right? So it's so beautiful that you can see similarities in both your cultures, both your families, and you can bring that together. So here's a question for you. Like when you get married and you decide that you want children, how are you going to bring up your children?
So I get asked this all the time, and I've asked other people this in mixed relationships as well. And for me, I think it's really important for them to know both. So both parents' cultures, both parents' religion. And then I said, when they get to a certain age, when they understand like a bit more about life and stuff, I'll just let them do what they want. So they might not be Sikh, they might not be Christian, they might not choose something else or do whatever they want. Or I think for me, it's important to have that foundation there about knowing what my background is, what my cultures are, what where I've come from. But then it's also important to be like, okay, maybe I want to do this now, or maybe this is like what I feel like I want to do. So for me, I think it's more about educating and bringing them up. Like of course, I'm going to be watching Hindi movies with them as well, and I'm going to be, listening to Bhangra with them as well, and R&B, because I love R&B music, and it's all like integrating both cultures so they have exposure to both, and then they can choose.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because you say like you listen to Bollywood and Hindi music and Bhangra music, and then you've got your R&B, and then you've got this and the other. The thing is, as British-born Asians, we're doing that anyway. We're so ingrained in that R&B culture, which is a Black culture. And we go out, we dance this anyway. So it isn't like it's something different, right? It's not like you're going to do something you wouldn't do anyway.
And it's funny. Oh, am I back?
No, you're back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's funny you mentioned that, because when I was growing up, I'd always be told, "Oh, why are you listening to this Black people music? Or why are you doing this Black people stuff? Or why?" And I never like understood that it was Black people things. I just understood that this is amazing music. I love it. I vibe with it. I like it. That's it. That's all that I would like think about. So, yeah, it is exactly what you said. It's already integrated to, because we're like, come over. We are already having to deal with, well, we're Indian and I'm Punjabi, and then but I'm also British, and there's that side of me as well, and that is a big part of me. I was born here, I was raised here. I was, we don't just stick to knowing Indians or knowing like my community. I can't do that. It's physically impossible, especially going through school, to do that. So
and the world isn't what it was like 7-8 million whatever 1,000 years ago, where people were just so siloed, right? Everyone's been colonized, everyone's become like one, and I think there are certain people in this world who need to accept it more, if I'm honest with you. Like they don't accept it, and there are more interracial relationships and marriages, and we are ourselves. I'm not just Indian, I'm a British born Indian. I have more affinity to the British way of life than I do to like my Indian roots, right? Of course, my culture, but like I don't go back to India, that kind of stuff. And I love it because, like you were just saying, like, you know, when you were growing up, you were listening to like the R&B and stuff like that. And it just reminded me of like when I used to be in the house and we'd have Box Fresh on. Do you remember Box Fresh?
Yeah,
And MTV
yeah.
Hits. And it'd be like, you
Yeah,
know, Nelly's on
MTV
the
was
Nelly and
amazing.
everything. Yeah. And like, but even like white culture has taken from black culture, especially in music,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
R&B, blues, that kind of stuff has become like this, like, you know, NSYNC, you know, that white
yeah.
culture has taken. Like,
Even
look at
Elvis
Slim
Presley,
Shady.
like he used to say it so many times, you know, it's only because I'm white I've been able to progress like
Yeah.
this, but my music comes from the black community.
Exactly, exactly. And it is amazing how people are able to bring those two things together. So, okay, so I know that we've been going for quite a while now, and I like to keep these quite short. But the last question I want to ask you is, what can you advise to, say, somebody, you know, who is going through the process of introducing their interracial partner or the partner of a different race to their parents, to their family, to their extended? What kind of advice can you give them? Because obviously it's a deep thing to do something like
Yeah,
that, right? So it
scary
would be a
thing.
scary thing for me to go and do that, right? So how would you, I mean, oh, yes, I introduced my ex James to my partner, to my parents. That wasn't so scary for some reason. But I think because he wasn't a BMW, maybe that's what it was.
Mm.
I don't know. And he was Filipino. But so how can you give us kind of a little bit of advice on how would you go about doing something like that?
This is a great question because this is a question I always get asked, especially when in clarity calls or you know just speaking to women about interracial relationships. And this is why I made my free video guide, the mastered method,
Mm,
because I know that this question was what, and I spoke about it earlier, was what terrified me to do and took me so many years to do.
yeah.
So basically, um, I would really like you have to prepare yourself, and literally like the master method is 8 steps that you can go through to prepare yourself. But the
Mm-hmm.
main thing I would say is be kind to yourself. Um, realize like kind of realize that it might not always go the way you think it will, and you know it, the first response might be negative, and you might have to go back
Mm,
and revisit. Give your parents some time and patience to like absorb what you're saying, because if it's the first time that you're telling them and you've never really spoken about well, we don't really speak about relationships with our parents, do we?
no.
And they don't, and they wouldn't expect for you to come home and be like, oh, by the way, I'm with this black guy, or I'm with this guy who's from a different race. They're gonna have some feelings about it because South Asian parents don't like not being in control.
Shall I
They
just
like
tell you
to,
quickly what my mum said
yeah,
when she met
yeah,
James? I don't understand his eyes. I was like, Mum,
what?
you should say that.
That's not funny. That is
It
like,
is
but
funny.
this is what I mean. It's like you don't expect these comments, and you're just like, what do I do with that? What did you
Eventually, she
say?
was like, I really like him, but I think at the beginning she was just like, not sure about this, Ush, you know. So yeah,
But this is exactly that is a brilliant example that they're looking at the features and not the soul. They're
yeah,
looking at what do they look like, what will they look like with my daughter, instead of who are they. And that's what you're trying to get to. That's what you're
yeah.
trying to get your parents to understand, that this person is an amazing person.
Mm,
They make me happy. They are like this. We are like this together. But you won't get to that stage until they get past the, oh, they're black, or
yeah,
oh, they're Filipino. So
yeah,
it's really like, yeah, gauging the best time, patience, and remember that they don't like not knowing what to do. So when they're like a rabbit in the headlights, their brain will be like, oh, what do I do? What do I say? What? And they don't
yeah.
like that feeling.
No,
So you got to remember that it's like a shock for them as well.
mm,
Um, and you got to kind of like baby it almost, to be like, you know, do you have any questions? They might even, like my dad, just shut it down and be like, okay, whatever. And
in that
then
scenario, did you expect an argument from your dad? Because that's what I would expect.
what did I, no, I thought he would be like interested for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Amazingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I got annoyed when he didn't, because I was like, because I think for me, it's like being the good girl. I was like, I've done everything for you my whole life. Why can't you just do this one thing for me? And then, you know, I even did my law degree for you. I even did this for you. And it's like that I shouldn't be doing it for you. I should be doing it for me.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of learning, like, why was I doing it for you? Why was I doing it for them? Why?
Yeah.
So that's another whole topic. But yeah, just really think about where they are as well. Like timing is a massive thing. Don't do it like if you're in the middle of, well, try not to as much as possible do it if they're really busy or it's like a busy occasion. Because I really do think they'll need time to reflect. And if it does go sour, like really bad, like physical abuse or really like verbal abuse, take time away from it, because you both will need time, because remember, you're gonna get affected by that trauma as well, and then reapproach it. But yeah, my master method is free. That's why I made it, because I know this is a massive thing that people go through and need help with.
Yeah. So, Amreet, if people want to work with you, how do they find you? If they just want to do a clarity call, just to kind of get something off their chest, how do they find you on all the socials, etc.?
Yeah, so I'm on all socials. It's at Kaur Confidence, Kaur, and you can find me. I've got my website as well, kaurconfidence.com, and you can literally DM me. My DM's always open, and ask for a clarity call, or you can go via the link in my bio and book a clarity call. Yeah, and like I've mentioned, I've got the Mastered Method, which is a free guide for anyone who wants to have that tough conversation with their parents, because I know how hard that is, and I really think that information should be out there for everyone, so that they can do that really important conversation.
Yeah. This has been really enlightening for me, and I've really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you for being here today and, you know, taking the time to join us on Brown Girl Rising and show us how you've been rising.
No, thank you so much. Like I said, the more we talk about this and the more I can get the message out there to try and normalize these relationships, and that I could show that, you know, there's reasons why your parents, because, and you mentioned a couple of times generational trauma and things like that, why they react the way they do, and how we can try and educate and move and navigate with that. That's my main purpose. So if I can try and get these relationships with as many people as they can, loving life like I do in my relationship, I'm so happy with how I am, then that's like my main purpose.
Amazing. And let's just say it's always worth fighting for love.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always think of that quote, you know, is it better to love a lot than to love at all? And I really do think, you know, to fight for it, it is worth it, as scary as it is.
Yeah, amazing. Guys, I want to thank you for joining us on this podcast too. And you can always, as usual, follow me on I Am Unlimited Urvashi or browngirl.rising. And I will see you on the next podcast. Bye.